Right, so it's Saturday. It's just after lunchtime. Being a bit lazy today. So last night I was thinking about this. So I've decided to just put that head on over there, the one that's ready to rock and roll. But I'm going to change those 3 inlet valves. Just because I don't like it. I don't like them being different. They'll probably be fine. I don't know why they're like that. I can't remember why they're in there. I don't know why. God knows. I'm pretty sure I built that engine as well, but I can't remember what was going on there, or if it was another cylinder head we got last minute. I can't remember. Anyway, so with this head, it's just too what's the word? Grotty. It just needs a hell of a work, this head, I think. I might not even be able to change the 3 inlet valves over to that one, because these ones are really cruddy. I'm going to take them out and have a look at them, see if I can clean them up before I take that one to bits. And I'm going to use the other cams and caps, obviously, because they're matched to the head. And then I'm just going to try and get this Astra back together. And then all this other stuff, I'll just rebuild this engine as a spare with that other head. Because I've got everything for it. And like I said, I built this engine, it's a few years ago now actually. Because it's all, we put new Mali, everything's original, it's just all Mali stuff, pistons, rings, bearings. But it was a budget build this, so we didn't get it honed properly. I just did it with the stones on the drill. But it's really smooth, there's not much cross hatching in there. So I want to get that all done properly. I'll probably get the block decked. So yeah, anyway, that's something to do in the future, but just now I'm going to pull these valves out and see if they're any good, and then I'm going to start cleaning up the block. Basically I'm just going to do all the prep work today, and then hopefully tomorrow, Sunday, I can start putting it all back together. Yeah, that's the theory anyway, because I've got a couple of jobs on Monday that I need to do. I don't really need the ramp for those jobs, so I don't think I'll get it put back together tomorrow. Well, should get it done by Monday, I think. I hope, anyway, unless I run into any snags. So we're going to start cleaning up and remove these valves. Alright, so the inlets, not too bad. I'll give them a good clean up, and then I'll have to seat them in on the new head. But I'll go and clean these up first. Right, so that's the valves pulled out. You can see how clean it is in there. Like I say, this head was all vapor blasted, cleaned, and resurfaced, which you can see. I don't know what the story is with the valves, but that doesn't matter just now. And yes, this has got new GM heads, stem seals in it. So it's just these 3 valves. I'm just going to take the ones I'm putting back in, which is them, and I'm just going to go and lap these 3 valves in and get them back installed, and then give this head a good clean. Well, I'll give it a good clean up, but I'll wait until I'm ready to install it, and then I'll go and clean the block surface. I won't film this lapping in valves, it's boring, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube of how to lap in valves if you don't know. So I'll do that and come back when I'm finished. Right, so I've got the block cleaned up, ready for the new head gasket to go in. In an ideal world, I would have that resurfaced, but we just don't have the time to do that. Yeah, so blocks cleaned up, heads got the new valves in it. I'm going to clean this down. It's been sitting here for a while, so I'm just going to make sure it's really clean, 'cause it's got bits of dust and all sorts on. I'm going to take out these oil plugs just to make sure they're clear, and just give it a good old blow through, make sure everything's good. And then I'm going to put some petrol or something in the cylinders and make sure that none of these valves are leaking. And if they are, I'll just pop them out and give them a reseat, lap them in again. But I better do all that before I put it on, because if I've got a leaking valve, that'll just be a nightmare. So I'll go and make sure that's okay. Alright, so I filled up the exhaust side first with fuel. This hasn't dropped, I just never filled it up enough, but there's enough in there. And yeah, I've got no leaks. Oh well. Yeah, so these two are seeping a little bit. And the other one looks dry. A little bit of weeping. Dry. So I'll have to pop these two out. I mean, they're not leaking much, but it'd be as well do it now. Just pop it out, lap them in a bit again, and then it should be fine. And now I'll just go and check the inlet side and just do the same. So I'll mark these two so I know to pop them out and lap them in again. But I've got the valves all sealed up again, so I'm ready to just put the head gasket on, I think. Nice. What do I need to do? Do I need to change this colour? I'm going to have a look. So I want to change these timing colours because a couple of the spacers are broken. But I'm going to do that at a later date. When I do, I'm going to put a new timing belt and everything on it. So I'll do it then. I really just want to get this back together and MOT'd, hopefully. And I've still got to send away the ECU, so I mean there's still loads to do to it, but for the time being I just want to do this. There's the torque settings, 25 Newton meters, and 3 90-degree angles and 115. And there's the tightening sequence there. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so that's the head all torqued down. My angle torque wrench ran out of batteries, so I don't get batteries for the final stage at 15 degrees. But yeah, it's all sorted now, so it's pretty much just a case of putting it back together now. So yeah, we'll crack on with that. That's the first cam installed. The follower's in. There was a couple that had collapsed, so I just replaced them. Yeah, so it's looking a lot cleaner than it was. No horrible oil varnish. Just lubing everything up with this stuff just to help it with the first run in, but I'll put the I'll do the oil pressure first before I fire it up and everything. So I'm just going to do the other side. I'll just put it on time lapse for you. Right, so that's them all progressively tightened down. The bearing caps are just 8 Newton meters, so they're not down very tight, but it's enough. So I guess I just gotta, I think I'll time it up next, and then I'll get the manifolds back on and the turbo, and then yeah, it's just plumbing everything back in after that. Right, so we've got it all timed up again. Now, I was just looking at this turbo. I just remembered the new turbo that we had. Something went wrong with it and it completely blew to bits. And that was from Courtney Sport. And there was, I remember there was a bit of back and forth. But yeah, Courtney just, I think they just shinned us off, like, but well. So this manifold's got a great big crack in, right up to the penny valve. So I think I'm gonna change the manifold over. Might as well. And then I've got a new actuator. I think I've got a new one of these coolant pipes as well. And then I'll just clean up the turbo so it looks a bit fresh. But I need to find that manifold. I'm sure it's in the back of that 5 door. Oh well, I'm in here. I'm sure that I had new manifold studs as well. Oh, not very old. Well, they don't look new now, but they were pretty fresh at one point. Just sat in here too long, I guess. Yeah, so I'll dig them out. And I'm sure that turbo was in here. I'll use that new. This is a new coolant pipe. Coolant pipe, but I think this is, I'm sure there was something different with this. We'll go check it. I think that's the old turbo, isn't it? Or the new old turbo. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's completely done that. Yeah, I can't remember, something went Pete Tong with that and Courtney wasn't having it. It was on for very long. But anyway, we've got a new manifold to so yeah, there's no cracks on that. Oh, happy days. Alright, so we're getting there. We've got the inlet all back on, alternator strap back up, crank pulley, yeah, everything, the loom, everything on the inlet side. And just a lot of clean up of all the oil that was coming out of the stem seals originally. I mean, it does need a real good clean up. It's filthy in here now. So I've just got to sort the turbo out, but the turbo's not playing ball, or the manifold. These bolts are C solid, and the actuator is always, these nuts are always C's, but that's not a big deal. I just need to get these off. So I'm going to go and see what I can do with that. And then I've got the new manifold and the new actuator. It would be nice for the new turbo, but funds and all that, you know. I've got this compressor side, which looks fresh, but I don't know what. It's got a forged Recirc valve in it and everything, but I think I'm just going to keep my original one because it's original KO4. I think this was a KO6. Not that these are any different, but this is the one that had the turbo blew up, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna try and get these bolts out then, and just bolt it to this new manifold. Might take a while though. Yeah, so I've got the turbo on. This turbo's been an absolute pain to get on and off, and I've never struggled like this with these things before. But then I've just realised that this is actually the first Z20 LET that I've worked on that still has the AC pump in place. Most people just get rid of them, which is why it's been an issue. Not an issue, but just a lot harder than usual. Because with that gone, it's dead easy to get in about. See, pipes are in the way. Can't get on into these bolts down at the bottom. Just a pain in the backside, but I'm not taking off the AC pump. But the one thing I just done, which has really annoyed me, and it's my own stupid fault, is I've just nipped the end off my Recirc valve. And I used to have loads of these lying around because everyone always wanted the forged ones in. So if I can't find one, I'm going to have to put this stupid thing in. And I'd rather it was standard, but it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to have a rake and see if I can find one. But if not, I'll have to put that in just now to get it finished. Right, so I've got everything back together again. I had it all back together and running, and then the coolant pipe, the return coolant pipe from the turbo was leaking at the back. The banjo bolt was, well, it wasn't the bolt actually, it was the pipe. This pipe here. So it's all corroded on the face, and it just won't seal. So luckily I had another one, so I put it on, new washers. I'm giving it a good nip up, so I'm hoping it doesn't leak this time, because that was a mission taking the turbo off again. So I've just disconnected the coil pack, pulled out the fuel relay so I can build up the oil pressure in the turbo again, and then I'll fire it up, put some coolant back in, and hopefully it doesn't leak this time. So it's running now, no leaks so far. I do need to send that ECU away, because there's just a couple of things that aren't right. But yeah, we'll get onto that after. Just make sure nothing's leaking. A little bit of white smoke, but that's just because there's a little bit of coolant went into the bores when I took the old head off. I cleaned out as much as I could, but there's always some, so it'll burn off. Plus the exhaust will be full of oil from the stem seals before. There's probably a little bit of water condensation in there from it sitting for so long. So I'll just let it run. I'll take it for a blast shortly, see how it gets on, and then I think I'll probably get some, what do you call it, maybe cataclean or some additive I could put in the fuel just to help clean out. And I think I'll probably do I'll probably throw an engine flush in, an oil flush, and change the oil and filter again. And then hopefully, I don't know if I'll put it down for to check the emissions before or after I send the ECU away. I might just send the ECU away, because it only takes a couple of days to get it back. And then that way everything will be mechanically sound, or near enough it, probably 95%. There's a couple of things I need to touch up, a few things I need to replace. The biggest thing to me I need to replace is this stupid silicone hose. I think I found this pipe actually on its own in Lithuania, I think it was, and it was 120 quid. Bloody hell. So I need to find one cheaper than that. It's too expensive for a pipe. So yeah, and then after this, it's just bodywork. That arch has gotten horrendous with sitting. It wasn't that bad before, but yeah, cars don't like sitting outside. So I've got to do the two arches, the back valance and the fuel filler. This arch isn't too bad, but it's getting a bit scabby here. So I might as well do it. I've got to. Well, then let's just sell it. Because, like I say, I'm not that into it like the Cavies and Vectors. And now I'm into Landies, so. But it does still turn heads when I take it out for a spin. Like, it's just not. It's funny, you just don't see Mark IVs going about anymore. It's crazy. It used to be 10 a penny, but I suppose everything is at one point. I don't actually see that many Mark V's going about, really. There's a couple that I know of that I look after, but I don't really see any Mark V's going about. It's all Mark 6s now. But anyway, I'm going to give this a run, and then I'll probably give it a wash, because it's just covered in all sorts of crap. And then I'll see how it runs, and I'll report back.